Every man has his breaking point. Every soldier experiences a moment of doubt just before the brink of battle. But once that first laser escapes the barrel of a weapon, doubt is replaced by a raging inferno.
Get a shot! Hard contact! I have to take cover!
Once the battle is over, what is left is the most intense calm imaginable. Inside that tranquility, the desire for more bloodshed is sown into the ground for the cycle to start anew. But the next time around, the harvest might not be for those who you expected. Dr. Schlieffen, did the operation work? I do believe so, Commander Cody. You see, I used radiation to trigger their inhibitor chips once more. That way I didn't have to perform any type of surgery on them, thus minimizing the risk of brain damage. You see, the Kaminoans were quite crafty with the use of these inhibitor chips, but really, they made extraction and fiddling with them tricky. I suppose they did that for a reason. Yes, doctor. Thank you. You're free to go. Yes, sir. I'll leave you to it then. The doctor left, and Commander Cody was left alone in the room with Captain Rex. I swear, that doctor is putting on an accent. It sounds so fake. Regardless, how are you feeling, Rex? I feel like my own self again, sir. I think that doctor fixed me up right. I'm so sorry, Cody. I don't know what got into me. I don't know how I could have betrayed my brothers like that. It's alright, Rex. It's all okay now. You're back where you belong, and my goodness is it good to have us fighting on the same side again. It's gonna be like the glory days. Together, we'll bring back a good name to the clone troopers. Very good, sir. Where would you like me to start? Well, at the moment I have some business I gotta take care of. You just take some time to recuperate. You're going to need it for the coming battles. Cody left the room and Rex was left standing there, thinking. His brain was cloudy and hurt like heck. But he did know one thing for certain. He was gonna need to find a way to contact Rico. Rico. Sarge, I'm ignoring you. You are just a figment of my imagination. The doctor said it was probably because of my lack of sleep or anxiety. Alright, I'll prove I'm real then. Ask me something only the real Sarge would know. What? That's not even applicable in this situation at all. Everything you know is what I know since you're just my conscience. Oh. Well, can you ask me something I wouldn't know? Well, it's good to see you're still as dense in my imagination as you were in your lifetime. Are you gonna bring up my spelling again? Because that just seems cheap after all these years. For someone so brilliant and strategically minded, the smallest things really are lost on you, huh, Sarge? I'm not the one with the supposed imaginary friend. You know what? I'm done with this. Outside of the room, Racket walked up to one of the armed guards that was keeping watch to protect Rico. Is he talking to himself again? Yes, sir. I think it's gotten worse. Alright, keep this to yourself, Private. There's nothing to worry about. Racket walked into the room. Ah, Racket, finally. What have you got for me? Any luck with finding Captain Rex? No, sir. Our spies are completely mobilized, but they must be holding him in a secured facility, most likely alongside with Delta Squad. Keep our spies on the alert. We need this intel. Very well, sir. And, sir, I think you need to talk to someone. You're frightening some of the men, and I can't keep them quiet forever. One of them will eventually blab. It's under control, Racket. Now see to your duties. Far away from Rico on a starship, Mace Windu spoke with his Padawan. Can you feel his presence, my young apprentice? Slightly, Master. It's faint, but it's there. Can you? It's the same for me. I do believe he must have covered his aura somehow. How will we find him then? Leave that to me. I have Blitzer flying us to see an old friend. He will help us. Very well, Master. What should we do in the meantime? Keep doing your mental exercises. Leave the planning to me. Captain 55 arrived on Rico's military base and was greeted by Rico himself. Ah, Captain 55, right? I'm surprised this is the first time we've actually met in person. Yes, sir. I feel like so much has been happening that we never happened to cross paths. That's probably what it is, but I'm happy to finally make your acquaintance. Me as well, sir. But if you don't mind me asking, what's this all about? I was pulled out of the cleanup fight on Kuwait by Racket and told to come here. Yes, there's a far more important campaign that has come to our attention. You see, the rebels desperately want to get around the flank of the Empire's territory. Which is a smart idea, but in practice it's quite difficult. I would rather save our troopers for the fight on the front lines, but in order to keep good terms with the rebels, we kinda have to go along with their idea here. I see, sir. So that is where I come in, I assume? That's right. I want you and the 501st Legion to go with the rebels to Felucia. The rebels plan to be capturing the northern hemisphere, so you and your men will be attacking the south. Be careful though. Felucia is a hotbed for Imperial activity, as the natural resources on the planet are abundant. The Empire will fight tooth and nail to maintain control of it. Yes, sir. I will start remobilizing the men right away. Very good. And now, I know this is kind of informal, mainly because of the war and all that, so I wanted to promote you to Commander. It's only right after the leadership skills you've exhibited while I was away. Thank you, sir. I'm truly honored by this promotion. I'm glad. I will order Captain Phantom, Captain Locker, and Lieutenant Whipper to finish up work on Kuwait. A little later, 55 stood with some of his officers on board his ship. Alright lads, land your LAATs fast on the planet's surface. These stormtroopers are going to resist every step of the way. Glasden, you take a group of troopers on the right, and Meteor, you take some to the left. Mulder, you're with me down the middle. Now, let's take these guys down a peg. Sergeant Bain, how are our forces holding up on the right? We'll hold for the time being, sir, but too much more of this will outright wipe us out. I know. Just keep the men steady. If we lose your position, the Empire can simply sweep us from the side and this whole campaign is done for. We're counting on you. Very well, sir. I'll go down and double our defenses and try to get some of the wrecked turrets working again. Good man. See to it. 55 left to go and call upon Rico, who had asked for status reports after every major engagement on Felucia. Commander Rico, I'm reporting in to inform you that we've deflected another Imperial attack. Losses are mounting though. I'm not sure if we can keep this up without any reinforcements our way. That might be a bit difficult, 55. Our remaining legions are busy in defensive plays along the border of the Empire. I'm afraid the best we can do is send some supplies at the moment. You'll have to wait on any new troopers. I understand that, sir. But what about the rebels? I was under the impression that they would be attempting to capture the northern hemisphere, but it seems like they've barely created a landing zone for themselves. It's allowed the Empire to nearly fully focus on us. I'm afraid this campaign won't last long if we have nothing to do to alleviate some of this pressure. Alright, I hear you, 55. I'll get in contact with Bail Organa to see what I can do. Thank you, sir. 55's hologram disappeared, and Rico went to the guard posted outside his door to set up a meeting with the rebels. Far off in a secured Imperial location, Captain Rex was awkwardly standing at an Imperial computer. He was trying to make an outgoing signal happen, but the computer wasn't allowing him to do so. It seemed like the Empire was taking every possible measure to keep this place hidden from prying eyes and ears. Hey Rex, what's up? Rex turned to the voice. His heart was in his throat as he worried he had been caught, but what he saw was a very familiar clone armor. Mental, is that you? Yes sir, the one and only. I thought you were dead. Oh, nah, I guess a lot of people thought that. I actually got hit in the liver by one of them, battle droids? Yeah, that's the one, battle droids. Well, then I toppled over, hit my head on a rock, and woke up here. Wow, you've been through a lot, man. Well, it's really good to see you after all these years. I know we only met a few times prior, but I always held you and Daily Squad in very high regards. Thank you, sir. I'm sure the boys will love to hear that when I tell them. Mental, did you suffer from some kind of brain damage in your fall? Some minor problems, sir. Doc says I've got horrible attention problems and memory loss too. I see. Mental, do you know how to send out a beacon on one of these computers? Oh sure, sometimes I do comm work for Cody if he needs an extra hand. My passcode is mental. Seriously? Your password's mental? Yeah, what about it? Did you not pay any attention during the Grand Army's lectures about password sensitivity? Oh, no. Rookie and I usually sat in the back playing flung ball. What in good gracious is flung ball? You know what? No, I don't want to know. It's beyond me how Daily Squad was so successful. Don't forget we saved your butts countless times, Captain. Man, wait till the boys hear the shade you've been throwing. Well, I best be going, Captain. Until later. Mental walked off. Rex couldn't help but feel bad for him. But at least the man was living in bliss without knowing the pain the rest of the galaxy was in right now. Rex went back to the computer and was about to type in the password when Cody walked up next to him. Hey Rex, what are you up to? Oh, hi sir. I'm just looking at the databanks, trying to fill in some gaps that you guys might not know about. Seeing as I worked with those traitors after all. Rex lied. Ah, good idea. We could use all the info you've got for us. So, I saw you were talking with Mental. Yes sir. He seemed very turned around, to say the least. Yes, terrible thing that is. I try to give him basic tasks to keep his mind working, but it may just be a lost cause. He can go from having a completely normal conversation to forgetful in seconds. At times, he thinks he's still fighting in the Clone Wars. Wow, dreadful stuff, that brain damage. And to think, he wasn't all there to begin with. True. But that is what made him such a good fighter. Well, that's for sure, sir. Well, Rex, why don't you log off from that and come up to my office? I want to talk strategy with you. Rex turned back to the computer and quickly sent out a distress signal with his old call sign. He just had to hope someone out there was listening. Back on Felucia, 55 stood with sergeants and captains of his force. Alright boys, it seems like we're not going to be getting the support we need quite yet. That means we need to hold the lines ourselves. Scouts report a fierce Imperial attack coming. Set up defenses as best you can. We must keep our forward operating base if we're to maintain a presence on the planet and take it for good. Rico stood before Rebel Commander Contra, the man who was waging war on the northern hemisphere of Felucia. Or rather, the man who was supposed to be. Rico's 501st Legion had been struggling because of the lack of support from their end. So then the Womp Rat fell off the man's stomach, waking him up. I bet that riled him up right good, Rico replied, hoping the friendly banter would come to an end soon. It did. It's good to catch up with you, Rico. It's been so long. Now, I think it's about time we get back to business. My men at camp will be missing me soon. Yes, of course. I had my man set this meeting up for us so I could talk to you about the battle on Felucia. Contra's body language suddenly changed, and he looked uncomfortable at the mention of Felucia. What about Felucia, Rico? Contra said, with a touch of hostility in his voice. Well, my commander there, 55, I'm not sure if you know him or not, well, he requested that more forces be sent to the Northern Hemisphere. The Empire seems to be focusing on his men in the south and making their progress much, much slower. Listen here, Rico. Don't tell me how to run my war. Whoa, let's settle down, Contra. Let's keep things civil. I just want to ask for support for my man. If your commander is incapable of doing his job, then replace him. We will continue to fight in the north. The south is not our problem. Good day, sir. The rebel leader left the room in a huff. Rico was left there, slightly confused. That guy was definitely hiding something, Rico thought to himself. On a distant planet, Commando Blitzer had landed Windu's ship on a sand dune. Blitzer, you couldn't have parked us any closer to our destination? I don't need your sass today, Tucker. A little exercise will do you good. Are you saying I put on weight? It's all those smoked womp rats you eat, kid. I'm surprised you can come up with any of your own original burns, given you're just a clone. Are you two gonna just stand there and try and outdo each other with different teases all day? You may be force sensitive, my Padawan, but sunburns don't care about that. Come on, kid. Let's get moving. The stuffy old man is right. The three friends set off on their journey across the planet, still searching for their destination. On the secret Imperial military base, Mental was standing outside when suddenly a massive explosion went off, blowing him off his feet. On the inside, sirens began to blare and Rex heard the explosion go off himself. A stormtrooper came into his room. Captain Rex, I've been sent here to guard you and make sure no harm comes to you. We've got reports that the Huck cartel is hitting our base as we speak. Very good, soldier. Thank you. Suddenly, a blaster bolt came from outside the door and killed the stormtrooper. Rex was helpless. He had no weapon. Inside himself, he realized that this was how his story was going to end. But instead of Hutt pirates walking in, a familiar face appeared. Commander Wolf. Wolf, my god, I didn't know you were still alive. I'm full of surprises, my friend. Now come on, let's get out of here. The two turned to the doorway, but standing there with a Gatling gun was Mental. Mental, come on, don't do this, man. Don't do what? Help you escape? Alright, we can just chill here. Anyone got cards? What do you mean? I mean, I got nailed in the head by someone's artillery strike and it rocked my noggin. I remember everything now. Ooh, sorry about that, man, Wolf said. Probably for the better that I'm not a walking memory sieve anymore. Now come on, let's escape. Rex, how's the hyperdrive looking back there? Wolf asked from the control panels of the ship. It's busted up pretty bad. If you're gonna punch it right now. We've got one shot at this. I'm not sure if this old ship can handle more than that. We're not running like cowards. Turn us around. We can fight our way out of this. Mental, there are 10 TIE fighters chasing us right now. We're not turning around. Wolf, punch it now. Brace yourselves. Punching it. Are we okay? Did we make it out? Are they tracking us? Yes, it looks like we made it out of light speed in one piece. And no, they're not tracking us. It's impossible to track us through light speed. That would be so unbelievably overpowered if they could. And basically, all past events wouldn't make an iota of sense, Wolf said. Ah, yeah, I suppose that would be really stupid. Laughable that I even suggested it. Yeah, now where are we, Wolf? Well, to be honest, I just plugged in random coordinates, but it looks like we're still deep in Imperial territory. Well, we're not making another jump, that's for sure. The hyperdrive is completely blown. What about our communications? Mental asked Wolf. About that. I had to hotwire it in order to amplify the signal of Rex's distress call. Then, when I traced it, the entire system fried. So, what you're saying is that we're going to be floating around waiting for rescue? Well, we can still fly, just not at light speed. But essentially, yeah, we're going to be wandering around Imperial territory until we get things figured out. Back on Rico's ship, Racket had boarded to discuss the war with him. Sir, Flack is reporting that his defenses along the border are suffering from the Empire. Diverting the entire 501st Legion to Felucia has left us short-handed along the perimeter, resulting in more Imperial victories, and our boys are having to commit less troopers to each battle. Yeah, I talked with Flack about this recently. but we need to stay strong on Felucia. If 55 pulls out, then we can't expect future support from the rebels in the war, and that may be when we need them the most. But sir, we need them now. 55's own men are getting crushed on Felucia. The rebels clearly want us doing the legwork there and to sweep in and take all the glory at the end of the war. Racket, I'm handling the situation, man. You just need to trust me that everything is under control. Very well, Rico. I'll order our men to hold tight for the time being, but it will get dicey. We need to figure something out and get new forces onto the battlefield. The next fresh batch of clones won't be ready for ages. I've checked with the Kaminoans, and we need more resources from Imperial-held planets if we want to continue to produce at any optimal rate for the war. Otherwise, we can expect maybe a few thousand clones every month. Very well. I guess we won't be expecting much in terms of reinforcements, but we will figure something out. We must, Rico. I know, Racket. Go and see to your men. I've got this handled. Racket went to Flak after his meeting with Rico. Sorry, Flak. I couldn't get our reinforcements for the defensive. We're going to have to make do with what we've got at the moment. I mean, I'll see what I can do, but we're losing ground each day. Alright. I'll tell you what, Flak. Hire a few mercenaries to hold the least important locations, and reposition those clones that were there to reinforce important strongholds. Sir, will Rico allow this? He tends to be uneasy about mercenaries, especially after the betrayal of Apollo. What Rico doesn't know won't kill him. Hire the mercenaries, but keep it discreet. I don't know about this, Racket. Flak, just do it. I will take the responsibility. On Felucia, Rebel Commander Contra was speaking with one of his advisors. Wilkins, send the army south. Our reconnaissance has told us that in Sector 5, the Imperials have disguised themselves as clone troopers within a base, in order to trick us into not attacking. Go ahead and secure that base. If they try and convince you that they are clones, do not believe them. I've spoken to Commander 55. These are not his men. On the other side of the planet, a few hours later, 55 received a call from Captain Bilford of Sector 5 in Felucia. Sir, a rebel battalion is coming at us in attack formation. After relaying to them that this is a friendly sector, they blocked all communications. What in the world? Bilford, go into defensive formation. Use force if they come too close with weapons drawn. Very well, sir. But there's more than that. There's an Imperial unit heading up from the south towards our base simultaneously. It looks like we could be put in a pincer movement. What's their ETA? Under 30 minutes, sir. I can't get reinforcements to you in time. Hold out if you can, Captain. If you can't, surrender. There's no point in losing your lives like this. With all due respect, sir, we would be fighting for Rico. That's not pointless. Over and out. Rico stood with his body completely still, but inside he was quivering with rage. He had learned over these past few years how to conceal the anger and still act dignified. But he would burst at any moment. At the slightest provocation, he was fuming. Commander Contra, you ordered an attack against my military base on Felucia. You slaughtered hundreds of my soldiers and lost us an important position on the planet. Rico, this is clearly some type of a mistake. I mean, you saw the reports. My soldiers were clearly killed off too. This must be some type of Imperial trickery. Maybe you should start being a little bit more careful and less reckless in this operation. You have the audacity to put the blame on us after you didn't check to see if the intel was accurate and then cut off communications with our base so we couldn't work things out? Rico, worry about yourself. In the meantime, we will do the same. Contra walked away from Rico, who had let the rage get the best of him. But he didn't care. This arrogant man was now scum of the galaxy in his mind. A clone messenger, who had become Rico's personal assistant after Phantom had been promoted, came up to Rico. He was actually a veteran of the Clone Wars, an ARC trooper, who had famously defended Senator Padme Amidala from a droid invasion on Naboo while hiding within a water fountain to ambush the attackers. What have you, Aqua? Rico asked. Sir, I wasn't able to get in touch with Organa. His communication lines, including the emergency ones, are all offline. How peculiar. Keep trying, Aqua. They could just be doing a hard reset. If you haven't heard from them still in a couple of days, send over an investigation party. Very well, sir. On the planet of Botha, Captain Clocker, Captain Phantom, and Lieutenant Whipper were standing around discussing the day's work ahead of them. Alright, so, the mercenaries sent by Commander Flack and Racket are holding up the very left flank of the trench lines. That should leave us some more room to station soldiers on the right side of the capital, Phantom said. Tell the men, and especially those mercenaries, that the capital city is special to the Bothans. It's a historic district that has survived for thousands of years. When we put down our equipment, we need to make sure not to disrupt any of the original foundation or architecture, Clocker clearly stated. Clocker, this is like the 5th time you've told us this. We won't disrupt any of these primitive structures, we promise. Whipper, they're not primitive, they're historic. Here we go again. You're always living in the past, Whipper retorted. Just do it, Whipper. Yeah, I will. Don't get your armor in a twist. I'm just messing with the old man a little bit. If you could see my eyes under my visor, I can assure you, they're rolling right now. While the squad was talking, Eugene, the droid from the Battle of Kuwait, walked up to the group. He had all new armor, as Whipper had upgraded him so that he was modernized.
Sirs, a ship has entered into the airspace.
Well, who does it fight for? Phantom asked.
It appears to have Imperial markings on it, and it has the emblem of the Dutchman.
Blast! The Dutchman. He hasn't engaged in months. It's time to mobilize, lads. Make sure the men are in positions with plenty of supplies. And Eugene, go tell the mercenaries on the flanks what's going on.
There is no need, sir. They all routed upon seeing his ship.
Those swine! They've left us completely vulnerable. Eugene, have our ships engage. We won't have strong enough of an aerial presence to hold off their fleet, but it'll buy us some time to figure out something down here. Above the planet, a battle broke out. The stall tactics were in full effect, but it would only last for so long until the Dutchman was going to be able to land onto the planet's surface. Back on the planet below, the clones were lining the trenches in anticipation. Whipper, Clocker is going to be guarding the right, while I take the center. Can you take Eugene and a company to the left? It's understandable if you don't hold forever. Retreat when you see acceptable. But we need at least something there to cover for the mercenaries who retreated. We're spread so thin. I'm afraid we might not even be able to hold this. Actually, sir, I sent Eugene on a special assignment, so he won't be available during this battle. But I can assure you, he'll be put to good use. Suddenly, a Bothan walked up to the clones. Sir, please get to your home. It won't be safe here for very much longer. Captain, I am here to represent the Bothans. We have gathered our warriors to help you in your fight. We cannot sit idle while the Imperials attack our historic capital. We don't want to come under their control once more. Our men are your men now. Phantom's chest swelled with honor of having the support from the natives. Thank you, sir. Bring them forward. We would be glad to fight with you. But move fast. The attack will begin soon. Commander Racket, you sent mercenaries to fill the gaps in our lines? Yes, sir. I felt that was the best decision at the time. And you didn't seek any approval from me or let me know about it? No, sir. I thought it would be best if you didn't know. So you admit to going behind my back in order to push an agenda that you knew I wouldn't agree to? Sir, it was the right move to make. I stand by my decision. Without those men, our lines would have been too thin. Yet even with those men, our flanks were left exposed after they fled like cowards. Mercenaries are not to be trusted. Sir, we won the battle. The capital of Botha was saved. Racket, you're not understanding the bigger picture here. The odds of us winning that battle were slim to none. We can't fight this war depending on luck to be on our side every step of the way. Yes, sir. But in desperate times we must take chances. We do not take chances when the fate of the free galaxy is in our hands. Racket, you're my oldest friend right now. Normally, this would be cause for a court-martial. I'm not willing to embarrass you like that, but I also can't let this go unnoticed. It would be a bad precedent amongst the men. What does this mean then, sir? I'm afraid I'm demoting your rank. You will no longer be in charge of territorial military defensive holdings. You will now report to Flack, who will be taking your position. Racket was dumbstruck. His friend of many years had lost faith in him so much so that he saw it fit to take away his rank. He didn't even find himself angry, but more disappointed, not only in Rico, but also of himself for letting him down. I understand, sir. I will go back to Flack now to receive an assignment. And with that, Racket turned and left. You did what you needed to, Rico. Rico turned to see Sarge's ghost standing before him. Oh, goodness, it's you again. Rico, I've come to tell you that someone you are very familiar with is in grave danger. Who is it? What's the danger? I cannot say. I can only feel trouble brewing in the future. Something ancient is awakening in the galaxy. Well, that was about as cryptic as you could make it. Could you please stop taunting my mind with utter nonsense? You don't have to believe me right now, my friend, but keep this thought in the back of your mind for the future. Now, I must be off. Stay close to your friends, Rico. Don't let them drift too far off. Back on Botha, Phantom, Clocker, Whipper, and their new ally, Chockway, the leader of the Bothans, discussed battle strategies. Well, lads, we delivered a devastating blow to the Dutchman's forces. I think now is the time to counterattack. Their landing zone is in a sector not far south from here. I say we strike while the iron's hot, Phantom dictated as the makeshift leader of the group. Aye, I agree. But remember everyone, this is a very historic planet. Don't destroy anything that we mustn't. Thank you, Clocker. The Bothans are pleased with your integrity, Chockway stated. That's all fine, but why hasn't the Dutchman shown himself yet? All we've engaged with is a part of his legion. There hasn't been any sighting of the man himself. Whipper spoke up. He's probably just cowering behind his army. He has never been a brave warrior, more of a scummy parasite. Now Whipper, what of Eugene's assignment? Eugene has acquired the super Baldroids from the old factory on the planet. He booted up the ones that weren't rotted away completely. There should be enough for one attack and then they'll probably be all toasted. That's fantastic. We'll give Dutchman's brigade a little taste of what we were up against in the Clone Wars. Now, let's get a move on. Captain Rex, Commander Wolf, and Mental were having a meeting on board their broken-down shuttle. The situation had gotten far worse for them. Electronics were failing, fuel was running short, and food was nearly out. Lads, I just checked the fuel gauge. I've got bad news. We're going to be sitting in space pretty soon if we don't refuel. There's a moon by the name of Virago not too far from here. We could stop there, Mental chimed in. Yeah, but that's under stark Imperial control. Okay, Debbie Downer, what if we disguised ourselves? I mean, that sounds like a pretty insane plan, so you're doing your name proud. But this may be the only option we have, so I'm in to do it. How about you, Rex? Yeah, I don't like it, but it's gonna happen. First, we need to get some uniforms. The three clones went onto the moon's surface and found a stormtrooper patrol in the city. They swiftly took them out and changed their armor. Aw man, my armor's all tight in the nether region. Quit your whining, Mental. Now, what's the plan? I'd suggest we find a bar and see if we can't pay for a ship there. Good idea, Wolf. That'll be the best place to find a cheap deal. The trio made it to a bar and were talking to the bartender. But they were nervous. The room was full of off-duty stormtroopers. Hey, you got any ships for sale? We're looking to buy on the low end, Rex said. I've got an old clunker in the back. How much have you got? The bartender asked. Around 3,000 Republic credits, I believe. Republic credits? You mean Imperial credits? Of course, Imperial. Rex here hit his head the other day. Rex? Wait a minute. There is a clone by the name of Rex who is wanted. Hey, we have fugitives over here. Suddenly, the whole bar was staring at them. Well, Mental, you've done it again. Commander 55 was waiting at a landing platform for Commander Rico, who had just disembarked and was giving orders to his pilot. He came to Commander 55 as soon as he was done. Commander Rico, welcome to beautiful Felucia, home of bugs, thugs, and a whole lot of hot laser slugs. Very good, Commander. You come up with that yourself? Afraid I can't take credit for that one, sir. Heard Glasden saying it to some shinies that came in last week. Ah, Glasden. Always liked him. So, 55, when is this meeting planned with Contra happening? In just about an hour, sir. Contra is coming down here with a light escort. Very well. Keep an eye on his men. We may be allied with them, but we are certainly not having them here as guests. Yes, sir. I'll have a man posted at every door. Good, good. And during the meeting, let me take the lead. I came here because I want to deal with Contra personally. I trust you completely, 55, but some things require a personal touch from the top. As you wish, sir. I look forward to seeing you two mix words. Someone needs to put this rebel scum back into his place. Roughly an hour later, Contra arrived to the meeting with 55 and Rico. Gentlemen, thank you for gathering for this meeting. And why was this meeting called, Contra? Rico said, trying to put a little bit of bite behind his words. Well, I come here with apologies. It seems as though our two armies have been clashing against each other when we really should be fighting our common enemy. I believe I was the cause of some of this unnecessary hostility, so I came here to extend an olive branch to the both of you. Rico was shocked by this sudden change of tone from Contra. It took a big man to admit his mistakes, and Rico always appreciated this. But he was still wary. What kind of an olive branch are you bringing us exactly? Well, I've got some intel, and I'm sharing it in hopes that it can lead to some collaborative efforts in our two armies. I do admire your straightforward acknowledgement of our troubles, but what information could you have about the Empire that we don't? Some of my spies intercepted an Imperial officer on his way to a meeting. We pressed him for information, but it turned out we didn't have to. He didn't seem to care in the slightest about the Empire. In fact, he'd been looking for a way out for months. So he let us know the weaknesses of the Imperial forces in exchange for, well, his freedom. As it turned out, the main Imperial base along Sector 5 supplies all of the fresh drinking water for the entire army. Wow, that is quite the weakness. Indeed. What I was thinking is that we would attack simultaneously. My army will come down from the north, while your army will follow the river up from the south. Yeah, I think our two forces combined in a pincer movement would be able to break through the fortress. Then we could take away their water supply. Exactly. This will run them dry. An army certainly can't run without water, and shuttling in that as supplies would take some time and deplete their resources further. Very well, let's do it. Mobilize your army and we'll synchronize the attacks. The three men went on to discuss tactics and logistics. When all was said and done, Rico and 55 stood in the field, preparing for the attack. It's good to see you fighting on the field again, sir. It has been a while. Let's hope I still got it. A trooper came up to the two men. Sirs, it's time for the attack to begin, but the rebel army hasn't signaled in, and there isn't any sign of them. Are you kidding me? This is the last straw. Start pulling the army back, 55. Another soldier ran up to them. Sirs, an Imperial force is heading for us down the river. Of course. If anything can go wrong, it does nowadays. Let's start pulling the troopers back to the base we've set up. We'll hold a front line here for a small time, 55. Let's get into it, boys. Mace Windu and his traveling companions came upon a small homestead. It looked barely lived in, but Windu could feel the pull of the Force all around him. Master, this place feels powerful. Yes, Tucker, but it's not the place that's powerful. All I see is a gonk droid. Wait, is it the gonk droid? Get in the house, Tucker. Inside the house, a man was waiting through the doorway, as if he was expecting the adventurers at any moment. Master Windu, it took you long enough to seek me out. You said the same thing when I found you as a young man. As I recall, you weren't one for talking much back then. He still isn't. I can barely get a word out of him. I can only converse with Blitzer. Who is Blitzer? And who are you, for that matter? Oh, I'm Tucker, Windu's Padawan. And Blitzer is our clone commando friend. Ugh, clones. I can't believe you still trust him after Order 66. Coda, we don't need the told you so lecture. Anyway, why are you in this hole in the wall? Didn't you have an entire legion you were fighting with? Well, my legion left to join the rebellion, but I couldn't stand them. Their strategies were foolhardy. It drove me mad. But then my legion refused to leave with me. So it sounds like you ended up getting betrayed too, Tucker said, wanting to get back at him for what he said about the clones. I suppose, in a way, yes. But I wasn't about to join Rico and those clones like you did, Windu. Instead, I came here to settle down into retirement. Well, that is, until I felt the presence. Ah, so you felt it too. Of course. Didn't you come here from my signal? Yes, but I wasn't sure what for. Do you know what the presence is? At first I had no clue, but I was feeling it getting stronger and stronger, to the point where I needed to find out. So I snuck into the old Jedi Temple on Coruscant and accessed whatever archives were left over. And what I found out was worse than I had feared. Well, what was it? Chaos. Chaos? Yes, an ancient Sith entity. It was nameless, but the Jedi Order used to call it Chaos. It sent out the very same midi-chlorian signals that we are feeling today. So you think this ancient Sith has returned? I do. Well then, looks like we're in some hot water. Rico, we got about 2/3 of our troopers back safely. I don't think we have enough soldiers for another attack anytime soon. Yeah, best we hunker down for a while, have Glasden set up defenses and see that the men are well taken care of. You and I are going straight to Bail Organa. Rico and 55 made their way onto Bail Organa's rebel capital ship, but on board they were greeted by his first officer. Commander Rico, it's such a pleasure to have you on board. We weren't expecting you. But sadly, Organa has fallen ill and is not well enough for visitors. That's enough, son. Bring us to Organa. We're not playing around. Okay. I'm gonna level with you. We don't know where Organa is. A month ago, he went missing. Then suddenly, we got ransom demands. We complied, but then they backpedaled. So we complied with their next set of demands, and their next set of demands. But they dragged it on and on. Wait, all of this was going on while Contra was fighting in Felucia? Well, I guess it makes sense why he was never disciplined per my request by Organa. Contra? Sir, Commander Contra has been dead for a while now, and we never followed through with our invasion plans of Felucia upon Organa's capture. We had sent you a messenger to notify. We have been dealing with a Commander Contra on Felucia for months now, son. Well then this must be some sort of treachery. I agree. I think that this Contra may be the one behind the kidnapping of Organa. It was he who kept on delaying the ransom being paid. He wanted to keep the Battle of Felucia going. You must be right. What do we do about this, Rico? We strike out at Contra. He's likely still on Felucia. Rico turned to 55. 55, order Glasden to attack Contra's compound. Yes, sir. 55 called Glasden. Glasden, Contra is an enemy. Working for the Empire, sir? We're not sure. This doesn't fully add up yet. Well, he did just take off from the planet in his private shuttle. Blast! And his troopers? Most of them have left the planet. I thought you had talked some sense into Organa, so I thought nothing of it. But there are still some in an outpost who seem to be operating radio waves and sending signals. Very well, Glasden. Go and take out that operating base. We don't want them knowing our positions, even if they're off the planet now. Sir, Contra has successfully escaped the planet. All of his troopers have either been eliminated or retreated into space. Well done, Glasden. Re-establish our defensive lines on Felucia. I'll be joining Rico at headquarters for a while, so you'll have the command all to yourself. Very well, sir. Best of luck. You as well, Glasden. I'll see you soon, friend. While 55 was contacting Glasden, Rico went to a meeting with Flack and Racket. Hey, boys, how's management coming along? Rico asked, feeling relieved to see his old friends once more. Just fine, sir. The Dutchman seems to be centering his forces on Botha still, but it's not that much of a problem. Ghost Unit has been holding them off for now. Ghost Unit? Who are they? Oh, sorry, sir. That's what Phantom and Clocker have been calling their men these days. I thought it'd be good for morale to make it official, so I did. Good call. Ghost Unit. I like it. Why don't we send some of that new armor that we designed their way? The Intelligence Group armor, I believe is what we were calling it. Sure thing, sir. They could use their own personal armor now for their Legion. After all, they've been in the war for so long. Excellent. Is that all you two had for me today? Actually, sir, there's one more thing. Racket spoke up for the first time. We received intelligence that there is going to be a major transition in the Coruscant Guard. Almost 75% of their troopers guarding Coruscant will be shifted out for fresh soldiers. In the process, there will be around 3 hours where Coruscant will be down to 25% of their troopers. When's this happening? And where was this intel acquired from? It'll be happening in about a week's time. Also, a disgruntled officer on the planet informed us. Fleck, what's your opinion on this? If it's true, it could be an opportunity, but I think it's far too risky of a gamble. We have no guarantee that it is true, or even if it is, plans could change before we know it. I agree with your assessment, Flack, but on the other hand, this could bring an end to the war. If we took Coruscant, the Empire may well be crippled. It is one of their main hubs, so many channels run through the planet. It may cause a domino effect. Rico pondered the two sides of the situation for a moment before speaking. I don't think it would be wise. Too much could be lost in an invasion like this. It's in the heart of the Empire. I think what we're going to do for now is keep it safe and not act on this intelligence. Sir, not acting could be a huge missed opportunity. Your opinion has been noted, Racket. But, like I said before, it's just too much of a gamble. Sorry. That's all I have to say on the matter. Racket believed that this was going to be the end of the war if they did this. If only Rico would take a risk for once. But that didn't seem like it would be the case. Racket may have to take matters into his own hands. But for now, he'd stay quiet and not say anything further. Rex, Wolf, and Mental stood on the outskirts of an Imperial complex. Alright, boys. Are we ready to do this? Mental asked. I'm still not sure about this, Mental. I'm all for taking risks, but we're about to try and infiltrate an entire Imperial complex. Sir, it's either this or steal a civilian speeder, but you already put your foot down on that idea. Come on, Wolf. We got this. Alright. Set up your silencers. Let's do this. Racket stood before a group of clone officers. There were a few familiar faces there to him, Badger and Aqua specifically, but the rest of them he didn't know personally. He had simply asked Badger to collect officers that notoriously took risks. Hello, men. I know that I don't know all of you, but we are all brothers, and we all want what is best for the galaxy, and that is what this meeting is all about. An opportunity has recently arisen that I believe could completely end the war in mere weeks. It would be a decisive strike against a weakened city of Coruscant. However, Rico believes this is too risky. I do agree with him, and respect his opinion. But I firmly believe that this is a risk worth taking. If we were to pull it off, then we will have captured the capital of the Empire and potentially ruined their chain of command. In short, this could put the war to bed. So what are you asking us to do, Racket? Aqua asked. Well, I believe we should go ahead with this assault and take over Coruscant. Wouldn't that be treasonous? Aqua's voice had a pang of concern in it. It would only be treasonous if we failed, Aqua. Aqua stayed quiet. He suddenly felt very uncomfortable being inside the room with these clones. Well, I'm up for it, Badger spoke up. Rico had me defending the backlines for far too long, despite my objections. I want to get back into the action, and be a part of finally defeating the Empire. There was a murmuring of agreement amongst the rest of the men, but Aqua fell completely silent. Very well. It sounds like we're in agreement that this is a necessity. We will act now, and ask forgiveness later. I've got some old Phase 1 clone armor for us to wear. This will make our men distinguishable from Rico's. This way we can properly coordinate with each other and not get into any unneeded trouble. Now, go and prepare your men. We're going to begin takeoff from the main base very soon. Aqua stood dumbfounded at what was happening, but he knew what he had to do. Dutchman himself stood before Commander Cody.
Commander, our units have been distracting Rico's men on Botha for some time now. I believe our trap is ready to be strung.
Right you are, Dutch. Word has come in that Rico has diverted soldiers from areas around the galaxy to go and assist on both Botha and Felucia. We are now open to attack the garrison on Kashyyyk, which has been seriously weakened due to his troop movements. And once we capture Kashyyyk, we'll be close enough to our end target.
Excellent, sir. I will launch the assault on the planet right now. It will be ours by the end of the week.
Good. And Dutchman, you'd best not fail us again. The Dutchman left and Cody was left there standing. Everything had been failing for him, and his job with the Empire was at risk to say the very least. He had had a stern talking to from Lord Vader after Rex had escaped. And now, this was his final chance for redemption. War had been raging on the beaches of Kashyyyk for the better part of a day. It was fierce and dirty fighting. Wookiees and clones clawed away at Dutchman's brigade for as long as they could stand it. Eventually, however, the beachhead defenses crumbled and the bodies lay dead and dying. Dutchman's troopers had made a successful landing onto the planet. Captain Kipper stood amongst the last few of his men that had managed to crawl their way off the beaches into the backwoods of Kashyyyk. Alright, how many of you are from my garrison on Woodburn Beach? Nobody answered him. Alright, anyone here ranked captain or higher? Again, nobody answered him. Alright, it looks like I'm in charge here until we meet up with Commander Tough. Hopefully he's still alive. Gather up any useful equipment that you've got and get something into your stomachs. We need to put some distance between ourselves and Dutchman's brigade. Once we have enough men and a defendable position, we'll try taking them on once more. We may have taken a beating off of the beaches, but we're not off the planet yet. I'm gonna see if the Wookiees can pitch in any warriors. But let's be honest, their people have been through the worst of the worst, and probably don't have much left to fight back with. Not to worry though, I'd put money on Commander Rico sending soldiers the second he finds out about our situation. Let's just keep our helmets up, boys. Far off from Captain Kipper, Rico was speaking once again to what he believed was a figment of his imagination. Sarge. Rico, your enemies are growing more and more powerful. Trust me, you must begin preparing for this growing threat that I've been warning you about. Yes, I was informed of the Dutchman's attack on Kashyyyk. We've got it under control. I'm rerouting Ghost Unit to go and reinforce Commander Tough there. No, Rico. This is an enemy bigger than Dutchman, or even the Empire. Sarge vanished and Aqua came in behind Rico. Sir, were you just talking to yourself? Yeah, I was. Sometimes getting my thoughts into the air helps me develop them. Oh, okay, sir. Well, you might be needing to use that strategy very soon, because I've got some rough news for you. More bad news, huh? Seems to be all we're getting these days. Well, lay it on me. I'm just gonna come out and say it, sir, as I don't think there's any way of softening this one. But Racket invited me to a meeting with a group of high-ranking officers. I didn't really know any of them personally, except Commander Badger, who of course I had heard legends of. Badger's involved in bad news? Big surprise there, Rico said sarcastically. But what happened? Racket calls plenty of meetings, it's not out of the ordinary. Rico was putting on a brave face, but he knew something was up and he was just hoping it wasn't as bad as he thought it was going to be. The meeting was traitorous, sir. In fact, it was outright rebellious. Everyone there was in agreement to take their troops to a battle on Coruscant without your knowing. Rico in fact knew that this might happen. There had been a divide in his leadership for the past few months. People weren't agreeing with all his decisions, but he had always said he'd mend the divide after the fact. But it looked like he had waited too late this time. And you, Aqua? How did you feel about this? I obviously didn't agree, as I'm coming to you with this information. But to be honest, I understood a lot of their points. It's not a bad idea, but I respect you too much to betray you. And it also seems like an unnecessary risk to me. When the war is going relatively well at the moment, why waste it all on this? Well, I appreciate your faith in me, Aqua. What about 55? Was he there? No, 55 wasn't invited, nor was Flak or Ghost Unit. They probably only invited you because you're a risk taker in battle. That stunt with the water fountain on Naboo is the stuff of legends. Regardless, I need you to make your way around to all the officers. See who has already joined Racket, and those who haven't, ensure their loyalty. Yes, sir. Rico then called a meeting with 55, Flak, and Phantom and Clocker, who were representing Ghost Unit. These were the top commanders that he had left, besides Commander Tough, who was dealing with the situation on Kashyyyk currently. You all have probably heard that our nation is now in a state of civil war. Though shots have not been exchanged, I worry it may very well come to that. I have preemptively sent Aqua around to all the officers of notable rank to ensure their loyalty, and I hope you all are to remain loyal to the Brigade. I think I speak for all of us here that we will stand by you, Rico. What Racket is doing is despicable. Thank you, 55. But I can't help but feel that Racket isn't really in the wrong here. In fact, it's more neutral. He's doing what he thinks is right, so much so that he would betray us. I don't think he made this decision lightly, and he still holds my respect as a leader and a friend. But I'm afraid we cannot afford to have him take half of our forces from us. We must respond in an aggressive manner, no matter his intentions. Well said, sir, Phantom spoke up. We can reposition Ghost Unit to strike out against Racket's fleet presently. No, Phantom. I need Ghost Unit to be transitioned from Botha to Kashyyyk. Commander Tough is getting destroyed by the Dutchman down there. Leave enough men to garrison Botha, however. Now, 55. Glasden is still on Felucia? Yes, sir, he is. He's still quarreling with the Empire there. Okay, we're gonna have to do a sure strike against those forces soon. I want you back on Felucia for when the 501st is ready to make that strike. And be careful, I'm worried Contra might come back. He obviously has unfinished business on that planet. Now for you, Flak. I want you to gather my personal legion, as well as your own. We're going to be dealing with Racket directly. Now you all have your orders. If we stick together, we will get through this. May the Force be with you. Windu and Coda were enjoying a brief moment of peace together before the storm that was bound to rock their world. So how did you find the boy, Mace? Well, Tucker was having difficulty growing up with his undeveloped Force powers. There were weird reports coming from his village about it. One of my friends that I keep in touch with found out about the reports that were getting filed in their local news, and he reached out to me. I knew this child was Force-driven right away, so I left Rico to go and nurture him, knowing that the only way to win this war was with a new Jedi Order. Aye, we're always partaking in wars. Recently I had some self-reflection, Mace. I realized that I was done fighting. It was too much for me. All the killing and hatred. It went against all of the old Jedi Master teachings. But then chaos showed up, and a moment of clarity hit me. The Jedi need to do what is right, not what is peaceful. What I'm trying to get at here is that I hope you teach Tucker a realistic version of the Jedi Order. It's time for a new generation of Jedi. Don't worry, Coda. I learned the same lesson myself. I assure you he will be better than all of us, if I can help it. Good, Mace. Now, I put out some messages to my old officers that have since joined the rebels, explaining to them what's going on. I'm hoping some of them will join our cause. But until then, I have located a Sith temple that may hold some information about chaos, and potentially how to defeat it. It sounds like we have a destination then. Captain Rex looked at the screens before him inside their commandeered ship. It was indicating one of Rico's ships was moving, not far away. It was odd that they were in this part of the galaxy, but Rex didn't care. He steered that way anyway. On that very ship, Racket stood with Badger. They had been busy getting logistics set up and were now reconvening for a meeting. Alright, Badger, how'd you fare in recruitment? Well, it seems like with your numbers and my numbers together, we have about 3/8 of Rico's total forces coming with us. We weren't able to acquire any planets, but that's okay. Fleets will be joining us shortly. Alright, not as many as I had hoped, but it'll have to do. A private ran up to them. Commander Racket, a ship has landed aboard. It's Captain Rex. And, well, it's a bit strange. But Mental and Wolf are there too. Mental and Wolf? Why, I thought they were dead. Set up the meeting room promptly. Soon, Racket, Badger, Mental, Wolf, and Rex were standing together. They had been socializing together for a little bit before this, but now Racket was ready to explain to them what was going on. So, you're probably wondering what's going on here, Racket said. Yes, I did sense that something was a bit off, Rex responded. Well, we've split from Rico for the time being. There were disagreements in strategy. Basically, the gist of it is that there's an opportunity to conquer Coruscant and potentially win the war for good. Sounds good, right? Well, Rico is saying that is too risky. I say it's well worth the risk. So for the time being, we are splitting apart from Rico to see if we can end this war early. What do you all think? Are you on our side? The three clones remained silent. There was an awkward stiffness in the air. Of course, this is no light decision. We spent a long time discussing ourselves, as we still love and admire Rico. So you don't have to decide right away, we understand. Let's get some food in our bellies and tell of our adventures. Mental was a bit struck by what he had heard. He knew Rico to be cautious, but in an extremely smart way. He knew there must be more to this story. He wasn't sold on this Racket fella quite yet. His neck crawled a bit. Danger was in the air. Commander, my ship just came into interception distance of the apostates. They outnumber me about 10-1. What do you want me to do? Where's the rest of Ghost Unit, Clocker? Gone, sir. I was left behind to ensure the remainder of our forces were en route to Kashyyyk from Botha. That is unfortunate for us. Well, Clocker, you always were stubborn on Kuat. How do you feel about being stubborn towards someone other than me? It would give me great pleasure, sir, Clocker said, grinning beneath his helmet. Great. When Racket inevitably calls you, you're going to tell them that they cannot pass, and if they try to move around you, you'll be forced to attack. Don't worry though, I don't think they'd actually attack their own brothers. It's a mental scare tactic, really, and will force them to reroute. Very well, sir. I'll inform them of our ultimatum once they come into comms distance. Best of luck, Clocker. May the Force be with you. On board Racket's capital ship, he had called Badger to meet with him. Unknowingly to them, Mental was listening from outside the room. Badger, we've run into one of Rico's ships. They're not letting us pass without a fight. We're not going to let them intimidate us, are we, sir? We've come this far, Badger. Send forward a boarding party. Give them ample time to surrender. But then, board if you have to. But try not to start a fight. Let them come peacefully. Yes, sir. I'll get on it right away. Mental was shocked by this. They were really going to go as far as to board one of their own brothers' ships? He needed to talk to Rex and Wolf to figure out what they were going to do. Badger went and met with his number 2, Captain Herder. Captain Herder, we're boarding one of Rico's ships. Are the men suited up in that Phase 1 armor so that we don't accidentally kill any of our own? Yes, sir. We are all kitted out. Good, good. Our orders are to kill on sight. Get it done. Clocker spoke to one of his own men. Sir, the enemy is boarding. They cut out communications, so we cannot get a surrender message to them. I never thought it would come to this. Well, Sergeant, get the defenses ready, and prepare to repel the attackers. Commander Rico was in the meeting room with a representative from the Rebel Alliance. Commander Rico, I am Colonel Mathieu. I am afraid that I am the highest ranked officer that we were able to send to this meeting today. What happened to the rest of your army, Colonel? Well, since our gunner was captured and Contra was ousted as a traitor, the Rebel Alliance has descended into anarchy. A lot of our supporters are stopping funding, and even our soldiers are starting to desert. There's also infighting between our generals. Accusations are floating around that there are more traitors in our ranks. This chaos couldn't have come at a worse time. I was going to ask you for support in stopping a rogue splinter group of my clone army. Do they call themselves Racket's Regime? Yeah, Racket's Regime. How'd you hear about them? One of their commanders, Beaver or something like that, came to us and asked for support in stopping you. We of course denied their request. We are still dedicated to our relationship with you, Rico. I appreciate that, Mathieu. It must have helped with your decision that we've got more troops and cloning facilities on our side, Rico ribbed. Ah yes, that certainly made a difference. But regardless, I'm afraid we cannot help you at this moment. Our focus is on stabilizing our own ranks and finding Organa. Completely understandable. And once I've sorted out these pesky traitors, I'll be sure to send help your way. That would be much appreciated, Rico. Colonel Mathieu exited the room. Rico was disappointed. The rebels were positioned to intercept Racket's troopers. But that just wasn't in the cards. He would have to do this the hard way. Rico now had his mind set on taking the fight to Racket. Racket had gone a step too far in all this. Attacking Clocker was the end of Rico's patience. He was beginning to realize there would be no remedying this relationship with his friend. This was civil war, brother against brother. It was tragic, but there was no holding back now. Mental, Captain Rex, and Commander Wolf stood before Badger and Racket. They had been called in for a briefing. I know that you three haven't picked a side or anything in all this, but I felt it was only right to keep you guys up to date on what is happening in the Civil War. That'd be much appreciated, Commander, Wolf said. Yes, well, I'll pass this discussion on to Badger. It would be best if you heard this straight from the source. Thanks, Racket. So, fellas, I regret to inform you that there was an altercation with Clocker of Rico's Brigade. He attacked us, and so, in self-defense, we had to strike back. Some of our forces were using stun, but they used lethals, so we had to switch to that as well. Sadly, our forces didn't manage to win the assault. We lost about an eighth of our total force. Wow, Captain Rex said. He had felt defeated inside upon hearing this news. Rico was the aggressor? How could he? Yes, I know this is a shock. We'll leave you three to talk. Racket and Badger left the room. Mental turned to the two of them. He's lying. I overheard their conversation earlier. They weren't going to walk away from a battle. They might as well have been the aggressors themselves, Mental said angrily. Mental, are you sure about that? Positive, Rex. We need to get off this ship and back to Rico. What if you misheard something, Mental? Or what if you're having an episode? You know your mind isn't as strong ever since you had amnesia. Even if I am going crazy, Wolf, there's one person I can trust. It's Rico. I thought I could trust you two as well, but I'm not so sure anymore. I'm sneaking off this ship. You two have fun here. Mental left in a huff. Could have handled that a bit more gently, Wolf. Yeah, you're right. But do you think he's right? I don't know. I don't know what to believe. Me neither, pal. Let's keep as neutral as we possibly can. I don't want to leave and potentially make enemies of Racket and Badger. But I also don't really want to stay, to be honest. Me neither, and that's a good point. Let's be sure to keep track of any intel we discover while we are on this ship, just in case if what Mental says is the truth. Then we'll have proof. Commander Cody had called a meeting with Dutchman about his progress on Kashyyyk. He was keeping him on a tight leash, as Lord Vader was breathing down his own neck about the war. Dutchman, tell me you have good news for me this time.
I do, sir. All of the beachheads belong to us.
Cody felt a tinge of relief. Good, Dutchman, good. Now begin the push inland. Keep it nice and slow. Don't overexhaust your troopers immediately. We need this victory.
Good plan. I will prepare the men this evening. Soon the entirety of the planet will fall to us.
And don't commit every trooper at once. Make sure we have enough for multiple assaults. On Kashyyyk, Captain Kipper stood looking out in the distance. He knew that Dutchman was on his way. He had ordered his soldiers to repair their last LAAT gunship to escape. But it would take 15 minutes, they had told him. They would have to hold out until that time, and hope that they had enough fuel to make it to Commander Tuff's camp afterwards. Captain Kipper and Hoppy were talking after landing in Commander Tuff's military camp. Hoppy, I wanted to commend your performance on the battlefield today. You showed courage, intelligence, and impressive skills. I'm promoting you to my number 2, First Lieutenant to be exact. Wow, thank you, sir. No problem. It's well earned. Be sure the wounded men are taken care of. I'm gonna go find Tuff. Yes, sir. Kipper and Tuff were overjoyed to find each other alive, and they made greetings. But then Tuff went down to business. How many troopers have you saved, Kipper? Maybe a squad's worth. Not much more than that. Ugh, I was hoping you'd manage to get back here with more. I've got next to nothing myself. Dutchman's hit us hard and fast. They've captured so many of our troopers. I didn't know we were that desperate, sir. I thought for sure we'd have the main part of our army in the inlands. I wish we did. But it's looking like we're gonna need to find a way off this planet, and soon. We're abandoning ship here. I agree, sir. Sounds like our last resort. But what should I do in the meantime? Take some men. Make sure the perimeter is secured. Very good, sir. We'll hold out as long as we need. Back on Rico's ship, Clocker had been called in for a meeting. Sir, I was just about to leave to join the rest of Ghost Unit. Sorry, Clocker, I gotta cancel that trip for you. I've got a new assignment for you and your remaining troopers. What is it, sir? Well, our scouts have been doing their job spying on Racket's regime, and it looks like Racket has sent Badger and a portion of his army to go and negotiate an alliance with the Mandalorians. They've landed at a Mandalorian base and are currently finishing a deal. I think that is perfect time to lash out at them. Not only will it potentially bring Badger to justice, but it could also convince the Mandalorians that they don't want to get involved. I want to send you there with Ghost Unit, because you've tangoed with Badger's troopers before. Good plan, sir, but Ghost Unit's crippled. I need more men. Don't worry, I've already thought of this. I talked to Phantom, but he's too far away with the rest of Ghost Unit to send any support. So instead, I uniformed a portion of my personal legion into Ghost Unit attire. Take them with you and launch an assault. ASAP. We need to strike now. Very well, sir. Consider me on my way. Thank you, Clocker. And since last time Badger didn't use stun on his weapons, I'd suggest going lethal. Not to mention those Mandalorians are ruthless. I think you're right, sir. We've been provoked too many times. Now it's time for us to provoke them. Contra stood before Senator Organa. Senator, I need the password to the rebellion's map archive. You realize my men are going to be on high alert ever since my disappearance. You'd be surprised, Senator. Your absence has resulted in the downfall of the rebels. Well, with a bit of my help, of course. You're scum of the galaxy. You don't know the half of it. Now, the map codes. Only if you guarantee my release. Very well. I don't need you anymore. You have my word you will be released once I get the codes. On the planet of Mandalore, Badger spoke with the Mandalorian leader named Dagger. Dagger, I appreciate this meeting in person, and you housing my ship's troopers while negotiations occur. Badger, I think this alliance could be very profitable, but I need guarantees that you won't restrict our looting. I can guarantee that war spoils will be available. It's not something we care about. Okay, this is reassuring. I will discuss with the council and give you an answer by tomorrow. A Mandalorian soldier walked up to them. Sir, a Rico's Brigade fleet has entered into the atmosphere. It seems your army has led them here, Badger. Not to worry, Dagger. My troopers and I will fight on the front lines with you and your soldiers. You better. I want you next to me at all times. You're not squirming your way out of this battle you've caused. Rico stood over Clocker's body that was being observed by a medical droid. Has anything changed with his condition? He asked the droid.
No, his vitals are periodically changing. We've stabilized each time it's gotten serious. But if something doesn't change soon, we could be looking at complete failure.
Has he woken up at all?
No, he has not.
Very well. And the other one?
Unresponsive as well. However, in recovery.
Life is cruel. I want word the minute their conditions change. I've got something that can keep you busy till then, sir. Rico turned around to Aqua's voice. Ah, Aqua. A familiar face. What is it? It looks like Phantom and the remainder of Ghost Unit have arrived at Kashyyyk. But the problem is that the entire planet is essentially lost. All that's left is Tuff and Kipper's stronghold. Is there a plan proposal from Tuff? Well, Tuff has left the planet's surface and was in talks with Phantom. The main problem is that their position is too far away from a proper landing zone, so they want to land Ghost Unit a distance away and fight their way to Kipper's location. They just need your go-ahead, sir. Alright, we're gonna have to re-land on Kashyyyk another time and take it back from the Dutchman. The plan is a go on one condition. No unnecessary officers are involved in ground combat. It sounds like Kipper has to be, but if we can help it, nobody else. I understand, sir. I couldn't bear to lose another friend. Me neither, but we do still need some leadership involved so the troopers don't feel neglected. Have Phantom, Eugene, and Whipper on the transports extracting troopers. Also, be sure that Tuff is present on the bridge of the ship, micromanaging units. We want all hands on deck. Yes, sir. I'll send out orders. Commander Racket stood next to one of his officers, Crypt. Crypt, any words from Badger? No, sir. Our spies aren't finding anything. They must be keeping their lips tight. Well, hopefully he's okay. He was a brilliant tactician. There was something else, sir. It seems that Mental has taken a ship and left. Did he give a reason? No, sir. It seems like he's abandoning. How strange. And Rex and Wolf? No, sir. They're still here. Okay. Let's keep an eye on them. I'd investigate further, but we have more pressing matters. Begin preparations. It's looking like our moment for the invasion of Coruscant is almost here, and we're doing it with a fraction of the force we started with and no Mandalorian support. On Kashyyyk, Kipper met with Hoppy. I like the new armor you've got there, Hoppy. Thank you, sir. Everything is looking good for our extraction to begin. Very well. Let's get it done. I'll see you at the end of this, my friend. Rico stood outside a doorway, debating whether or not to enter. It had barely been a day since Clocker had been horribly wounded, and there was still no word on if he would recover or not. Rico was also still waiting on word as to whether or not Ghost Unit had successfully extracted the clone forces off of Kashyyyk. He was mentally exhausted, to say the least. But he still found himself wanting to populate his mind, and not remain idle. So, as he had been eating in the mess earlier, he thought of an idea. Now he just needed to see if he could pull it off. Rico walked into Badger's cell. Badger. The Civil War is over. What? What do you mean? Last night, after your capture, we received a counterattack from Racket's forces. Little did he know that we had an entire other fleet waiting in standby to support Clocker's troopers. We tore them to shreds. Badger was dumbstruck that it could all be over. What of Racket? Yes, well, it's a shame to say that he also died. But you all should have seen this coming. You should not have messed with Rico's brigade. Badger looked at the floor defeated, but Rico spoke up once more, not leaving him alone. Now, there's the simple matter of logistics. We're trying to acquire a trooper roster to see who has died and who remains alive or missing. In order to find these survivors, who, mind you, could be dead and dying in the wreckage of the battle, we need to know their deployment locations. And I'm afraid that we can't get that without the passwords into your network. So, you want me to give it to you? Precisely. And rest assured, any troopers who are found will not be punished. They will have to take a few courses and take loyalty tests, but they will be welcomed back into the army. Badger thought for a moment. Would him keeping the password a secret even matter? If he gave it up now, he could at the very least help some of his troopers who stayed loyal to him and Racket. He made up his mind quickly. Very well. The password is Gonk, with a 0 instead of an O. Thank you, Badger. You've helped in the ending of this civil war more than you could possibly imagine. What? Oh, that's right. I lied. But you didn't. And now we're going to be able to find the location of every single unit in Racket's regime. Badger was dumbstruck. He had been played a fool. But Rico was feeling very good about himself at the moment. Rico went and spoke with Flack. Flack, I've got the password to Racket's network. Wow, so your plan actually worked? It did, but the problem is that much of the information is encrypted. Almost everything important, really. Except for one thing. Racket's telecommunications is actually on the old Rishi Moon outpost, our analysts found. You mean the one that Rex, Cody, and Domino Squad defended way back in the Clone Wars? Yeah, the very same. Ironic that he used such a historic landmark for something so important. But it makes sense considering nobody visits there anymore. Either way, they've rebuilt the base. If we attacked with a small squad on LAATs, they might not notice our approach, and we could wipe out their covert communications entirely. They'd be forced to talk on open channels. It's a gamble, but it could work. Who are you thinking of sending? Well, let's send 55 over there. He hasn't been able to see any action in ages, and you know how antsy he gets. Very well, sir. I will brief 55 and have him off pronto. Mace Windu, Coda, and Tucker stood together, channeling the Force. Are you wackos done yet? Shut it, Blitzer. Blitzer went back to standing alone, a little more annoyed now. I sense him, Windu said. Where? Coda asked. He's with Senator Organa. I don't see him yet, though. The ancient Sith being is working with the rebels? No, it looks like Organa was imprisoned. Wait, I'm getting more coming to me. I'm seeing Rico now, speaking with a Force ghost. Wait, but it's a clone? Rico is calling him Sarge. A clone as a Force ghost? Yes, but I think it's him. I think Chaos has somehow managed to take the form of another entity in some type of Force ghost projection. I wouldn't doubt it. The Sith arts are extensive and never-ending. Wait, I think I see him now. He is blue, with a nasty scowl of a face. He's talking about releasing a Sith army in a matter of days, against the whole galaxy. Windu stopped. His vision was over. That was vivid, he said. Well, that's certainly not good. The Force seems to want to warn us. Yes, but I don't know if that was a week ago, today, or 3 weeks from now. We have no idea of when this Sith army is coming. Well, what can we do? Tucker asked the two masters. Do what we always do, Windu responded. Find Rico. Commander Rico was speaking with Commander 55. Rico, it's been a while since we've had the chance to meet in person. It has, 55, it has. You're looking well, though. Of course, me and the boys are in good spirits after getting to see some action. Everyone except Glasden, though. He's still a bit upset I made him stay on Felucia. Always the troll, 55. Either way, you knocking out those covert comms for Racket has worked wonders. Honestly, excellent job, man. They've been communicating openly, giving us tons of intel. Of course, Racket figured out what happened pretty quickly, so they aren't saying anything overly important anymore. But it's still a good step towards crushing this rebellion. Aqua walked up to Rico and 55 before 55 could respond. Commander Rico, I think you need to come and see Clocker, sir. Rico rushed to the side of Clocker's bed. Clocker, you're awake. How are you doing, buddy? Not well, sir. The doctor says the internal bleeding has started again. I don't have time for pleasantries, but I wanted to say that your mentorship, and most importantly your friendship, has meant the world to me. You took me down a path in life that a clone can only hope to go down. Sir, I strongly believe you will bring peace to the galaxy. You have to. Tell the boys in Ghost Unit, they're my brothers. And you, sir, you're more than that. With that short interaction, Rico could see that what remained of Clocker drifted away. It was like he was saving his last breath just to tell him that. Rico thanked Gonk that he had a helmet on, or else his tears would be visible to all. The toll of this war was just getting harder and harder to bear. He thought back to his friends. Dodger, Steve, Rich, Thunderbolt, Flashpoint, and now Clocker. He was going to need a moment to lie down. Droid, call in Rico's Brigade's inner circle. I'm talking Ghost Unit, 55, Aqua, Flak, Captain Kipper, Commander Tuff, Glasden, really anyone you can think of. Meanwhile, tell everyone who wants to reach me right now that I'm in an important meeting or something like that. I don't want to be disturbed, he told the medical droid. Meanwhile, Racket was meeting with Crypt, who was his acting number 2 ever since Badger had been captured. Racket, sir, our men are so close to repairing our covert communications. We just need a little bit more time to finish it up. Oh, that's not why I called you here, Crypt. In fact, just forget about that. Nothing matters but the mission anymore. The day of the attack has been moved up to tomorrow, due to recent spy intel gathered from the Empire. It seems like they're switching out garrisons far sooner than we anticipated. Will our men be ready, sir? They better be. We've only got one shot at making this work, and I hope that if it does work, then Rico might consider forgiveness for all that's been done. Though, I know that might be a stretch. Perhaps far too much has been done already. I know it might not be my place to speak here, sir, but my old commanding officer in the Clone Wars always used to say that it was never too late for forgiveness. Well, let's hope he knew what he was talking about. Regardless, we're no longer going to be running an advantageous fight on Coruscant. We'll have roughly the same number of troopers as the temporary garrison, and we will have a time crunch before the reinforcements get there. Get the men prepped and well fed. Tomorrow is the fight of our lives. On another part of the galaxy, Mental stood alone inside his ship. He had been flying through the galaxy for a few days, attempting to reach at least some type of Rico-owned territory. But truth be told, he had never paid too much attention during flight schools. It was usually Rookie who flew during their missions too, so he was not well equipped to be handling this situation. But suddenly, a transmission came through on his communications line. This is Mace Windu. I see your call signs are that of Rico's Brigade. Is this the case? The voice said from the speakers. Yes, this is Mental of Daily Squad. Mental. Daily Squad. Sounds familiar. What are you doing in this part of the galaxy? I'm looking for Rico's flagship, or really any semblance of Rico territory. You're in luck. So are we. Care for some company? Sure, why not? It's about time I got back together with Rico's crew. Great. We'll catch you up on all the recent developments. Rex and Wolf are standing together in a remote part of Racket's ship. Wolf, it seems like the attack is happening tomorrow. Do you think we should join in with Racket's men? Honestly, Rex, as much as I love a good fight, I don't think so. If we still want to be embraced by Rico after it's all said and done, it's best we don't directly fight. This isn't our battle. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing myself. I'll respectfully inform Racket of this. I think he'll understand. Yeah, he's a smart lad. He won't make a fuss about it. But I am eager to see what comes of the battle anyway. Could mean a huge step in the way of victory if Racket succeeds. Think about it. The center of all Imperial activity falling to Rico's brigade. It would result in chaos. Aye, but if it fails, it could spell disaster. A huge amount of clone power would just be gone from the galaxy. Not to mention, it would make the Empire think Rico is just desperate to win an assault, which could lead to a more cocky strategy from the Imperials. Yeah, this could be a disaster or a miracle. We'll just have to wait and see. In Imperial territory, Commander Cody met with a young officer for a briefing. Sir, the Dutchman has just reported that he has completely taken control of Kashyyyk. Only a few clones got away. Excellent. It's about time the Dutchman started pulling his weight around here. What are your orders for him next, Commander? Well, we're waiting for our ace in the hole, son. With Rico's brigade breaking apart, I have one big move to shut them down for good. Tell Dutchman to have his men at the ready. The time to strike is nigh. Rico stood at a computer console. He had been quiet for the past few hours, lost in his thoughts and reliving memories. But there was still a lot going on, and he couldn't be lost forever. To that point, Aqua came up to Rico. Sir, I am sorry about Clocker. Thanks, Aqua. It's hit me pretty hard. But we'll all get through this together. That we will, sir. Speaking of which, almost all the High Command is on the ship now. Just a few stragglers are still making their way over from their respective positions. Okay, there's no hurry. Just make sure everyone gets here in one piece. Roger that. Additionally, sir, it appears that Racket's attack on Coruscant will be happening shortly. Rico stopped for a moment. He hadn't thought about this since Clocker had died. He didn't even blame Racket anymore. It was more of just a pure sadness now. No hate involved. Send him a message. Saying what? Good luck. On board Racket's ship, Racket was meeting with Crypt on final preparations. Alright, Crypt. So we're attacking the Emperor's office first. If we have a successful landing there, the rest of the planet will be much easier to take. It's like cutting off the head of a beast. Roger that, sir. And all of our units are to attack? Yep. Spare no expense. No point in holding back, really. If we lose this, then that's the end of it all. But keep in mind, we will have the advantage, at least for the time being. It'll be slight, but it'll be something. The Empire just isn't going to be able to get their required forces in for probably another day. At least, that's what the scouts are reporting. So just go as hard as possible on them at first. We'll get this headway, and then hopefully the rest will be easier from there. Very well, sir. Okay. Now, would you kindly retrieve my weapon for me? I'm sorry, sir. I can't do that. What do you mean, Crypt? The rest of the officers and I decided we're not allowing you to partake in the fight. Not allowing me? I'm your commanding officer. Yes, sir, but you're too important. Even if we fail, the loss of you to Rico would destroy him. Then the galaxy really wouldn't have any hope. Guard, get in here. Crypt called out, and a soldier came in. Very well, Crypt. This is mutiny, but it doesn't seem like there's much I can do. All I can say is, best of luck to you. We're counting on you. Thank you, sir. I truly am sorry about this. On the planet's surface, two garrison officers were in a rushed conversation. Sir, the enemy ships will be here any minute. I know. I just contacted the replacement garrison, but they won't be here for hours, and the old garrison is already way out of range to come back. Blast! They must have gotten all of our logistical plans. That's what I'm thinking. It looks like we're on our own. The enemy force isn't too huge, and we've still got plenty of numbers, but they do outnumber us. Let's try and stop them, or at the very least slow them down. Yes, sir. Mental stood with Mace Windu. Windu had been catching him up on everything he had missed while he was imprisoned with the Empire. At the same time, Mental had also been filling Windu in on the latest news from the Civil War. So, you're telling me that the entire galaxy is about to be attacked by a mysterious Sith army? Yeah. It's safe to say we're in some trouble. No duh. Your news totally outstaged mine. Well, we better hightail it to Rico if we want to help at all. Absolutely. We're working on it now. We'll be getting there as soon as we possibly can. Just need to make sure we get there in one piece. Makes sense. Well, I suppose we should get some rest. It's good to be back with the Jedi, sir. It's good to have you, Mental. On Rico's ship, Rico had called forth all of his closest officers. Men, you all know what has happened to Clocker. Normally, I'd have a speech about how he fought for what he believed in, or how we can all learn from him. But this time it was different. He died fighting our own brothers. It's just a waste of life. He was a beautiful young spirit, and he didn't deserve to die. Especially not while fighting our friends and family. So, I'm gonna take this as a wake-up call, and try to reconnect with Racket's regime. It's enough bloodshed that we've been going through. The Civil War is ending today. We owe it to the memory of Clocker and all the other fallen brothers. Now, I want you to all take the next day or so off. Tell your men to as well. If the Empire attacks, obviously resist, but we're not going to be doing any assaults ourselves. In honor of Clocker. Rico walked away, and the rest of the officers stood there in silence. They were all lost in their own thoughts of Clocker. On Racket's ship, he had just gotten news that the attack had failed. It was all over. All the hard work and planning had resulted in a disaster. And now he had burned all of his bridges. There was truly nothing left for him in the galaxy. There was an empty, sinking feeling in his stomach. He didn't know what to do. But the messenger who delivered the news continued. Sir, there's one more thing. The Empire is sending landing craft to board our ship. What do we do? Oh jeez. We don't even have enough troopers to withstand a boarding party. How long till they get here? Not long. 30 minutes maybe? Prep the defenses. I'm going to go make a call. Racket went to a communications panel and took a deep breath. This was going to be the bravest thing he had ever done for a battle. The comm channel loaded, and luckily, there was an answer. Rico? Racket? Sir, I have so much to say to you. But first off, we failed. You were right. No, Racket. I failed you. I restricted you when I should have guided you. You've been with me from the start. I can't bear to lose another friend. I'd love it if you'd come back to the army. Thank you, sir. But about that, we're about to be wiped off the face of the galaxy by an Imperial boarding party. Where are you? In course on airspace. Very well. Hold off the enemy for as long as possible. I'm on my way, Racket. Personally. Rico and Racket stood amongst the dead and dying on board the ship that they had just defended. Where'd you get this thing? Rico asked, confused by the layout of the peculiar ship. Got it from a young fella named Lando. He needed fast cash, so he used this as collateral. We needed a ship after all, so I was fine with it. Does seem like a good deal, Rico acknowledged. The air was tense and awkward. The two of them had been at war, and not just any war, a bloody civil war between brothers. But both of them clearly were itching to say something that was on their minds to the other. After all, for years they had been each other's sounding boards. That wasn't something that was lost easily, and the lingering want to go back to the old days was clearly present from the two of them. Want to go to the pub? Racket asked after a long silence. Good idea. Let's hash things out over some drinks. Contra stood before a thing. It had mannish features, yet was stiff and rotten. It reeked of decay and gave off an uneasy presence like that of a cheating spouse. What exactly am I looking at here? Ah, yes, Commander. This is something I was working on for the Dutchman before you liberated me from that post. It is an altered being, starved for blood and flesh. Its purpose in life is to do pain unto others for its own survival. Contra wasn't exactly put off by the presence of the beast before him. However, it did make him skeptical. After all, this wasn't a product of the Sith arts. It was Dr. Schlieffen's twisted scientific invention. I suppose these insane inventions are why I recruited you, Schlieffen. But can it be controlled? It seems like a wild animal with little to no payoff on the battlefield. It cannot be controlled in a direct sense. However, they are extremely easy to deal with on a singular basis. They simply don't have the brains to coordinate intelligent attacks. So, if we were to drop 2 or 3 on board an unknowing ship, then their infectious bites will spread this virus to others, until the entire ship is full of the beast. I see. Contra thought about the repercussions that unleashing such an unpredictable thing would be on the galaxy. Yet, simultaneously, it would bolster the ranks of the Chaos Army considerably. Very well, Schlieffen. Perfect your serum. You have the funding to continue this research, but you do not have the time. We are mobilizing very, very soon, so if you can have it ready as quickly as possible, that would be best for all of us. Yes, thank you, sir. This will be ready as soon as possible. Contra went off to his second officer, who had been waiting for him outside the room patiently. Sir, the men have been gathered as you requested. Excellent. Just the elite guards, correct? Yes, sir. Foot soldiers, gunners, tankmen, conscripts, everyone else has been sent a copy of your speech for reading. Good, good. And be sure to give them double rations as well. I don't want them feeling like they missed out on anything. We need morale to be at an absolute high right now. We need to capitalize on everything that's going on in the galaxy. Contra walked out to a crowd of his elite soldiers who had been waiting eagerly to hear him speak. Brothers, it has been a long journey. You have followed me through the deepest and darkest parts of the galaxy in order to recover powerful Sith artifacts. We have succeeded in this mission in many regards, and our failures have been utilized as lessons for the future as well. This knowledge and power has accumulated into an impressive fighting force that we have before us today. Our final goal is in sight. There are only minor obstacles that we need to conquer now. The Empire, for one. It's an immense fighting force with 2 powerful Sith Lords at the head, Darth Vader and Darth Sidious. Neither of them are to be taken lightly. However, they are weak in their ranks. They have little training for their stormtroopers, and small constitutions for the majority of them. Then, there's the rebels. A pitiful force, really. I recently infiltrated them personally. That should be like swatting a bug. Just take them out nice and quick. Then, there's Rico's Brigade. The only true force we must be careful of. They are fractured, but that is hardly of consequence. They have heart, bravery, and skill. All things to make for an enemy you must be wary of. Even in a weakened state, they are dangerous. However, we are the Alphas, the chosen leaders of the galaxy. We will prevail and wipe all these other factions from existence. To fail is not only to fail yourselves, but also the people. People are meant to be free in an anarchical state. That is the true purpose of chaos. We are simply the guiding hand that will get them into that state. Then, of course, once it has been done, we will form a hands-off government. Only there to keep others from trying to disturb the sweet bliss of anarchy. Contra stood there, absorbing the moment. His troopers stood obediently as well. He had taught them to keep their emotions bottled up. They would not applaud for fear of repercussions. It was a method of controlling them, but he knew he had psyched them up with his speech. He could see it on their faces. All was going to plan, and the galaxy would soon be at his hands. He of course had his own plans beyond this anarchy claim, but that was the easiest way to put it to these simpletons. In reality, his vision and scope for the coming world was much, much bigger than all of that. Meanwhile, in a far-off part of the galaxy, Captain Rex and Commander Wolf stood with Mace Windu, Tucker, Blitzer, Coda, and Mental on the grounds of one of Rico's military bases. Captain Rex and Commander Wolf had actually arrived at the exact same time as the other group, and they had made excited greetings. They caught up on all of their adventures that they had had on their own, filling each other in on missed information or just exciting stories. But then Rex addressed Mental directly. Mental, we should have listened to you. Doubting you was a mistake. We didn't give you the proper respect that a clone brother deserves. We let our own agendas and curiosity for what was going to happen get in the way of reasoning and our brotherhood. Yeah, Mental. Rex is right, Wolf said simply. He was a clone of few words, and they were hardly ever sentimental. So this was a heartfelt compliment coming from him. That's alright, fellas. Went on a little soul-searching journey myself, and ended up with Window over here. Stop calling me that. Yeah, he's a bit cranky. Probably from getting zapped by Palpy back in the day. You guys would be too if you had to spend the past few days with only this guy for company. The group gabbed like this for a few minutes. Old friends were reunited joyously. Eventually, the group actually expanded into the main crew of Rico's Brigade, who were all also located within the base and had heard of the arrival of these old friends. They were telling old tales and jokes. A sense of familiarity resonated amongst the group. And finally, Rico and Racket arrived together. Mental? Wolf? Oh my lord, you two are alive? Rico was through the moon. Wow. Well, not only do we have old friends back, but we've also reunited with our enemies, Rico said sarcastically, and Racket chimed in. Yeah, Rico and I hashed things out last night. We're recombining our forces. Well, minus Badger, who will have to hold trial for his betrayal of Rico and Racket's regime. Yes, that is all fine and good, Windu spoke up. But Rico, this is enough banter. We do need to discuss things now that everyone is here. A Sith entity that goes by the name of Chaos is coming. You might know him by the name of Contra. His power is unknown to us, but it's safe to guess that he could easily wipe out half the galaxy with a snap of his fingers. You're exaggerating, right? Yes, it is a hyperbole. It would take a little bit more effort than a snap. But he is not to be taken lightly. We need to prepare everything we have. Well, we've faced the worst of the worst. We'll just grit our teeth and get through this together. Suddenly, an escape pod crash-landed nearby, and to the shock of everybody present, ARC Trooper Echo got out and ran over. Everyone, the Dutchman, Cody, the Emperor, Vader, they're coming, in force, with a new super weapon. Lord Gonk, save us, Rico mumbled. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Be sure to click that subscribe button for more content, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted to whenever I live stream or upload. Thanks so much.